What's up everyone, Alex here. So AYN have announced the Odin 2, the next Odin model, and they're going to launch an Indiegogo campaign, and I'll leave a link to it in the video description so you can see the preview of it. They haven't announced any specs or anything, only a little teaser image that it kind of looks like the same model. But this is pretty exciting because, as you all know, a lot of the videos on my channel were on the Odin. That's how I basically started this channel. And I think everybody that owned an Odin pretty much wanted one that had a more powerful chip in it. That was like the only complaint that could really be made, except for like, you know, the joysticks being kind of Switch-like and not have much travel. Maybe that's something they can fix, because when they released the Loki has bigger sticks that are a lot more like the Geek 1S sticks here. So that could be a thing. I'm not sure if they will do that, because the Odin's quite compact and small, and maybe they will stick to that Switch form factor of having small sticks so that it can still remain quite pocketable or put in a small bag or something. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Odin. I have this is the Odin Pro, and this has been slightly modified to have Sakura retro modding buttons. I got a little sticker when I removed the logo, and I put a lot of work into this. It's using Pegasus with the Shin Retro theme, which I customized myself. I used to play this device so much, and now I barely touch it. And there's a few reasons why, and my opinions have like changed over time. I still think this is an absolutely great device, but when the Retro Pocket 3 Plus was announced, this is just smaller and a lot like easier to carry around and use, and you can play games up to the PlayStation 2. Now obviously on the Odin Pro you can play like PlayStation 2 games at a high resolution, as well as GameCube and Wii, but there was something really like just magical about the Retro Pocket 3 where it just feels so nice and small, and it just like embodies something that's so great about having a handheld. I pretty much feel the same way about the Mayu Mini Plus, which, well, the Mayu Mini is tiny, and a lot of people like this, but I feel this is more gimmicky and this is more functional. And I actually use my Mayu Mini Plus a lot still, and I did recently until I got the Geek 1S, which I've been doing a lot with lately. But this is something I would play at night and, you know, go to bed. And for example, I finished Donkey Kong Country 2 on it recently. Just every night as I go to bed, I'd play it for like 15-20 minutes, and it's just so small and nice and just easy to use. So I think when I think about handhelds, I do think about the practicality of them for their size. So now I've been using the Geek 1S for a while, and this is a big boy, this is hefty, but I've now got used to it now that I've used it so much. It weighs almost 0.7 kilograms, it's somewhere about 660 grams, and at first I found this tiring to use, but because of the battery life, like no matter what you're playing, you can't play like all day, so at some point you've got to put it down and charge it. But now I've got used to the size and the weight of that. The Odin feels so, it's just so nimble, and this is what I want to talk about today, because when I've been using the Geek 1S, obviously I'm using it, it's Windows, I'm using it to play PC games, higher end emulation, and I don't want to spend loads of money on storage, you know, so like a huge SD card down here. I start to think about what literally will I play on this, and you can see I have RetroArch on here, and Redream, and those are two things I'm just never going to use on this, because even though the games look gorgeous and it's nice to have like all your retro games on like one system, I just don't think I would, because when I think of playing an older game, I would rather, you know, if I'm going to play Super Nintendo, I love the fact that this has like a pretty much perfect screen for it, the Mayu Mini Plus. There's something really comfortable and nostalgic about having something small and easy to use. It's like, it just feels really nice. I mean, sure, I could play Super Nintendo games on here and they'd be big and gorgeous and colorful, but the device is quite heavy. There is something about the comfort of playing like an older game on a certain device that has like a value to it. When I think about the Geek 1S, it's a Windows handheld, it's powerful, so I feel good when I play like games that are demanding. but then with like the Mayu Mini, for example, it's not a very powerful device. And I don't know if I love playing PS1 games on here, but if they're more retro, it works. Now, a good example of a device doing something absolutely perfectly and it fits the form factor is the Retro Pocket 3 Plus with PSP games. Like, this is just an absolutely perfect PSP device. Well, not completely perfect. There's a couple of games that won't run fantastically, but for the most part, like literally nearly like 100% of the PSP library will play on this, and it's so portable and light, and it brings you back to that feeling of like, oh, I'm playing PSP games, but it's like a better screen, and it's just like a really cool feeling. So back to the Odin, and because I've themed it like this with PlayStation buttons, PlayStation logo, I always thought this was perfect to do PlayStation 2 games, and a lot of them it can do. But because it doesn't have the most powerful chip in it, it can't do like every game. Like Burnout 3 struggles, and we've had to do like certain things to get it run a certain way. For example, you can apply cheat codes to remove like certain effects on certain games. Not like every game, but there are some for Burnout 3. And now this game runs at like a flawless 60 FPS. And there's other games where you'd like to play them at like a higher resolution, and there's a few other games that have problems, and basically one of the simplest solutions is just give the damn thing more power. So a game I've like tested constantly on here is Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 runs alright. Metal Gear Solid 2 has problems. The perfect handheld to play Metal Gear Solid 2 like would be like an Odin, that's what I think, but it needs more power. So like the Odin 2 would be like this perfect device to do PS2 and below and have all your retro systems in one thing. So the way I see like my future of handheld gaming is I have my PC handheld now to do like Steam, high-end emulators, and other like demanding PC titles that you wouldn't get on other portable systems. And for me, the battery life works perfect for that, and I have it completely focused on that. Then on your lower end, you've got like really retro systems like NES, SNES. This is a really cool way to play those. And then you've got some other like higher powerful handheld systems, PSP, even a little bit of Vita runs on here. That'll be interesting. Vita on an Odin 2 might actually be very good in the future, and that's something I'd be really interested in looking into. But then the Odin 2 could be this all-in-one device of like, I just want to jam on some retro games from like the Game Boy all the way up to the PlayStation 2 with great battery life and all of it run fantastically. To me, the Odin 2 would be a perfect companion piece to having a PC handheld, and you'd also get that like great real estate of like a large screen, good colors, it feels nice and light. So I feel like the Odin 2 is coming at like a perfect time. I'm really curious at like what they'll do in their campaign. Like, will they have an Odin 2 Lite? Will they have an Odin 2 Pro? Or will they just play it straight, which I really think they should do, and just do the Odin 2? Because other companies like Aya are constantly releasing new models. Even Retroid, they've just announced the going back to the old style, and they're releasing their Retroid Pocket 2 with a slight upgrade and a little bit of a modification. All these companies are releasing different devices, and it'll be really refreshing to have the Odin 2, and it's just the Odin 2, and it's like magnificently priced. It shows what it's capable of. See, Aya's had like a troubled history in the last year or so. Well, first, they had a lot of trouble shipping out Odin models. So, I mean, my advice with the Odin 2 is if you go to the link below, sign up with your email, and just try and be one of the first people that gets an order in, especially if they have early bird prices, because that will make it so much more worthwhile. I mean, I used to say that I was one of the first people that backed the Odin Pro, and what I paid for it was like under £200 or under $200. That was a steal. That was incredible value. And then the Odin Pro is like closer to like $300 now, £300. So I just got my money's worth big time on this device. So try and get early on the Odin 2, and if you're one of the first people that can get it, then fantastic. But yeah, like I said, So they had trouble shipping Odin models. So if you're one of the people who backed the Odin 2 early, I would hope you don't have a problem with getting a model shipped. And then they had obviously had the problems with the Loki. I had reserved my own Loki last summer. I mean, my story is I reserved a Steam Deck about an hour into the pre-order when that went live. And I kept refreshing and it just took that long. It took an hour to get a reservation. Cut to like last summer, and it's very close to me getting a Steam Deck. And then I announced the Loki, and I was definitely looking for a smaller Windows handheld that had more power than a Steam Deck. So I cancelled my Steam Deck and I put all my money down for a reservation for the Loki, and then it took a whole year for that to even start rolling out. And then by that point, AYN had announced the Aya Neo 2S and Geek 1S, which for the same price, well, the Geek 1S, the same price as a Loki Max, you could get more power, bigger screen, bigger battery. It was just, for me, it was a given. I'm very happy with this, by the way, and I'm very much planning to do more on this device. I even ordered a dock for this because I see myself docking this and using it as a sort of like bedroom PC in the future, which and put more storage in the dock to make it a bit more like a console / Windows handheld. I don't know, I'm very excited about it, but I still think the AYN Loki is a good device, but it's just bad timing, and well, here's hoping that the Odin 2 is very good timing. And if it checks out, if it has a good form factor still, I'm hoping it's similar to this with a few modifications. I don't know how they would do slightly bigger sticks without going as large as those, because, you know, it's not like, they're not just going to create custom sticks, you know, they're going to order from a manufacturer. So I still believe they're probably going to be small sticks, but we know a lot now how to like modify these and make them better. And to be honest, these Vita thumb caps have always done the job for me. I did actually replace these sticks with switch sticks eventually. Or did I get Hall sensor sticks? It's been so long I can't remember. But I'm happy with these sticks for a device of this size to play retro games. That's what I'm trying to say. I know other people aren't, and if you are focused on playing like first-person shooters or Android games, that can be problematic with sticks these size, but I'm just saying it's not going to be a problem for me. So yeah, more power, similar form factor, good battery life. I believe we have a perfect Android device on our hands for retro gaming and even some current Android games. So yeah, this video was a bit of a strange one. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that the Odin 2 is coming, and I've had a little bit of well, bit of banter, bit of not so much a rant, but I keep thinking I would like to do a video where I talk about how someone even goes about buying one of these devices, because the market is so different to what it was 2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago is when I just started to get into these again, and then I decided that I wanted a PS Vita, and this is the 2000 model. It just has a grip. It's quite nice, this grip actually. And then I ended up really liking it and getting the 1000 model with the OLED screen. I haven't used these in a while, and that's another thing, you know, the Vita has the Vita library, which you still can't do perfectly on any other device, so it still has relevance today. So yeah, I do think about doing a video of like, what do you want from a handheld? How do you even go about buying the perfect handheld? And you know, it's kind of like, it's like a style now, like something that matters to you. You know, you've got small form factor for retro games, you've got the perfect PSP machine, you've got like the beefy handheld that does everything. They've all got like little styles to them, but when the Odin 2 arrives, my thoughts are that it could be like an everything device that is perfect up to PlayStation 2. The hope is that you could just like get some PS2 games, boot this up, and play any one of them at like 2 to 6 times resolution, and they play fantastically, and you hardly have to like touch them, which would just be perfect. You know, I would love to play more PlayStation 2 games, and they would play perfectly on the Geek 1S, but I don't want to play PS2 games on a big beefy handheld, I could, and it would look really nice, but this is the form factor for me that says PS2 emulation, and it would be wonderful. So I'm very excited to see what the Odin 2 has under the hood. Anyway, yeah, that was a strange video. I'd like to do more videos on the Geek 1S, but yeah, thank you for watching. Please give it a like if you like that, and I'll be back with more videos soon.